Okay, so let's start with our Karaniya Metta Sutta. First of all, the Buddha's discourse on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be happy. Whatever living creatures there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outward and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated and lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to wrong views, the pure-hearted one having clarity of vision, being freed from sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders, past and present. Cultivating a heart of loving kindness and compassion by transforming the heart away from selfishness, egoism, greediness, and away from being uncaring. The warning: viewer discretion is advised because this talk will contain some decaying corpse images. Dāna is the act of giving, and this is encouraged in quotes from the book, the Dhammapada. Conquer the stingy by generosity, and the liar by speaking the truth. That's verse 223. Verse 224, one should speak the truth. One should not yield to anger. One should give when asked, even if it is only a little. By means of these three, one may go to the world of the angelic heaven of the Devas. Verse 177. Indeed, misers do not go to the abode of the Devas. Fools do not praise charity, but the wise rejoice in charity and so gain happiness in the life hereafter. Dhammapada, verse 354. The gift of the Dhamma excels all gifts. The taste of the Dhamma excels all tastes. Delight in the Dhamma excels all delights. The eradication of craving overcomes all ills. So to recap, first foundation, focusing on the nose. In the breathing, and this is called Anapanasati. We don't need to take the figure of 8, the infinity sign there, literally. It's just for effect. But concentrating on breathing in and breathing out. And then, as we start to, if we wish to move on, we'll start to include the throat, belly, chest, and then the experiential part of the body. But first of all, we're going to say where Anapanasati is one of the Samatha meditations. A bit of warning there, this can contain some shots of corpses, so look away if you don't like that kind of thing. Okay, so mindfulness of the physical body, mindfulness of breathing, analysis of the 4 physical elements we've been including. This collection of 40 meditation subjects, Kamathānas. Here we have in the first column 10 kasinas, and also and in the second column the unpleasant physical bodies, rotting corpses. Then the 32 parts of the body, and then the divine dwellings and the repulsive food elements. There's a lot more in there. There's 40 of them, so time doesn't allow us to go through them right now. So continuing on the first foundation of mindfulness, after Anapanasati, we've got the 4 elements, the 4 great elements. Maha, Dhatus, the movement, hardness, temperature, sponginess, and when you see them in the physical body, you can recognize them because we experience them all the time. Can always be found, they're always in the present moment. There they are. That kind of thing. Doesn't include yet the pleasure or displeasure about that. Reflecting on the impermanent nature of the body, directly perceiving the impermanent nature of the physical body, that's a key to insight. The anicca nupassana, it's just one of the 3, dukkha nupassana and anatta nupassana, all facets of the same thing. Changing. And then that's external as well, the furniture, the carpets, the walls, the plants outside, the mountains, the oceans, the skies, our friends, our own bodies, everything is all affected by heat and time. We've added on the list here more things, the postures, incidental movements, and the anatomical body, corpse decay, and beautiful aspects as well. We can take a look at those. So again, warning viewer, so look away if you don't want to see the corpse stuff. It's quite disturbing for some people. So in the first part, anatomical body, so that's the body without skin. So you're looking into the organs, makeup of the body. Then, totally different, the rotting nature of the body, when it becomes extremely unbeautiful and all the liquids come out, and then all the maggots and the flies and then all the birds pecking and everything. So then unbeautiful aspects, so deliberately looking at the unbeautiful side of life because we're biased towards beauty, towards youth, towards smoothness and glamour, and we don't like to see when it's not working and breaking down. We try to hide, cover, conceal and control it. So the degeneration part of life, the decay. And whether we're taking a mature or an immature approach towards the process. Vedana is the second foundation. That's the experience of pleasantness or unpleasantness, from the thrillings down to pain on the body, and the mind states, the mind moods of bliss down to being disappointed and troubled. And these layers are also then layered over the experience of the physical body when we're looking. We start to notice irritation, that's from the second foundation. Here we're noticing temperature spongy first, and so on. How do we handle it? Well, mentally noting when we're distracted by it. Awareness of irritation, awareness of irritation. And this pulls the mind from overreacting. Feelings are like guests in a guest house. They temporarily remain and then pass. Temporarily remain and then pass. Feelings rise and fall like winds blowing across the skies. And the simile of the archery of someone shot with an arrow, who then multiplies the pain through the mind's reactions. One pain, but multiple pain added over the top, making bad situations worse. After first and second foundation, thirdly we added sense contact, which actually comes from the fourth foundation. 6 sensations still sounds like a Motown band. That would be the 5 temptations. So then we have body, we have the sensations of pleasure, and we have the 6 sense doors. And we looked at the 6 sense doors the way you can meditate with these on the fact that they have these 3 aspects: the organ, the object, and the contact. So you're noting awareness of seeing, awareness of seeing, awareness of seeing. That can go on the eyeball, but it can also go on the object, and it can also go on the actual contact itself. So 3 different places, said to be like a match on a matchbox with the stripe. So you have the 2 things come together to make the third: object seen, eyeball or organ, and then the sight awareness. So noting can land on any of those, not only on the eye, it's for all 6 of them. So all 6 of them, you can do that with awareness of the kaya, the body, awareness of touch, awareness of the object of touch, and so on down the line. There's the Pali names. So we have the simile of the 6 animals. Similarly, the 6 animals leads us to showing that they all have varieties of places they wish to be at. And that's the same as with the 6 sense doors. So they all have places they would rather be, and they're all pulling off in different directions to go to them. And that's the same with our 6 sense doors. They have places they would rather be, and the strongest one predominates. Okay, so then we have the simile of the floods, where the Deva came and asked the Buddha, how did you cross the flood? And he said that I did it by not procrastinating and not rushing around. So in that way, he crossed over the flood of sensations and emotions that goes with it, the sensations and the feelings of pleasure and so on. That's how he did it. We had that riddle. Nice one, just like something out of Lord of the Rings. Let's have a look at it with the answers. With but one root, the root was ignorance, which is the root of all the negative mind states. And then the 2 rip currents dragging this way and that way. The rip currents being eternalism and materialism, or nihilism, leading to sort of religious fanaticism and then or revolutions. Triple stains: craving, hate, self-centeredness. 5 arenas: body sensations, feeling, perceptions, and mind states. Ocean with its eddies 12, those are the 6 sense doors and their objects and the feelings. The quaking abyss the sages cross, that's the abyss of craving, which has no foothold, it's unfillable. Then to sum up, there were the subjects we covered in the third talk, which is about the 6 sense doors. Third foundation of mindfulness, mind states and mind controls. Third foundation is called Chitta. The mind states, for example, being universally kind, being extremely happy, being calmed and stilled. So all the positive mind states are there. Feeling like you have a lot of time and you're in good company, life's good, that's a state of mind. But there's also the negative states of mind. That is when things are not going as good as that. Desiring, angry, and confused, for example, are some of the ones. Quarrels and hatred. Frustration. Then we have the controls of the mind, for example, active parts of the mind. For example, paying attention, aiming attention, sustaining attention, interest and deciding, and willpower and effort. So, looking at Chitta, it has the wholesome mind states that can govern the main controls, and those have the qualities of brightness, tranquility, controllable, flexible, skilled and correct, for example. And there's the opposite, which is the unwholesome mind states, which have the qualities of being heavy, disturbed, inflexible, rigid, incapable, and improper. So either of those two sets can govern the controls. So it's in our interest to develop and cultivate by bhavana the wholesome mind states and learn how to do that so that we know how to be in good states of mind. So let's add perception, which we'll be talking about on a different talk, but then we've got most of the whole kit. And to say that these are all divided into 2 categories, that's the mental and the emotional, which are obviously not visible to anyone else, and then the material aspects, which are visible. So we have the physical body, the legs, the arms, the hair, the teeth, the fingernails, and so on, eyebrows. These things are physical. Teeth, spit. So all these things are physical. And then the physical materials. And in Pali, these are importantly called Nāma and Rupa, Rupa and Nāma. Nāma is a word with a double meaning. On one side it means to be named, and on the other side it means mental qualities. They're not to be confused together. Nāma and Rupa does not mean name and form. Focal area. So this is called Ekagata Citta. It's one-pointedness. It's a focal area that moves around your experience from different sense doors. Attention, Manasikara. Intention, Chaitana. And Jivit Indriya is the basic life, or battery pack of the mind. Then we have aiming, which is called Tipitika. Sustaining, which is like hovering attention over something, vichara. And then effort, which is called virya. And then we have deciding, that's adhimokkha. And then we have interest, which is called piti, but interest is the basic of it, but it goes right up to fascination, rapture, delight. And then willpower, which is called chanda. So those 6 there, those are sometimes there and sometimes not. They are occasionally used. Controls in a car that you just sometimes use. Universally used, those ones. And those can be governed again by either wholesome or unwholesome, and that will say what we're going to be focusing our attention on. So basically our attention wanders around our sense doors, body and feelings, smelling, having pleasure, having been troubled, and so on. So that's just a very basic outline about the basic structure of Chitta. We'll go into more detail as we go on the course. So the nature of Chitta, these are words about the nature of Chitta written in the early Buddhist text in the Dhammapada. Some easy methods to explore meaning and translations using digital Pali reader. If you haven't seen that, if you have, then just be patient. So miscellaneous stories and texts are the Khuddaka Nikaya, which is where you find the Dhammapada. And the Dhammapada, you see lots of different variations of this. And you'll see the verses, which we're going to go into in detail. But first of all, I want to have a look at the Pali and how you would do that if you wanted to. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but there you go. There's the digital Pali reader, and you look in the hierarchy of books to the Khuddaka Nikaya in that case. And there's, I know, about 20 different kind of books that are in the Khuddaka Nikaya, from Dhammapada, Udana, Jatikas, King Milinda's, there's loads. So clicking on DHP for Dhammapada, and then you can look in all the chapters by clicking on that. And the third one is the Chitta Vaga, which is why I chose to look in there. It's about the Chitta, the nature of the Chitta. I spoke about in poetic form, so we know we're talking more descriptively and not so scientifically. So when you click on any word, you get the English translation below at the bottom there. The mind is very restless and agitated. It is very difficult to protect, and very challenging to guard against deception. The wise person corrects their mind as an arrow maker straightens an arrow shaft, or sharpens an arrow shaft. Then, like a fish that is pulled out of the water and thrown on the dry ground, jumps and leaps about. The mind jumps about from thought to thought. That is why one should try to escape from the unhealthy influence of the effects of unawareness. The mind may be treacherous, frivolous and changeable. It may be unreliable, often seizing whatever it desires. Good indeed it is to tame such a mind. A tamed mind brings happiness. Okay? So now just looking at that in a bit more detail. The mind is very restless and agitated. It's very difficult to protect and very challenging to guard against. Self-deception to do. The wise person corrects their mind as an arrow maker sharpens an arrow shaft. Like a fish that is pulled out of the water and thrown on the dry ground, jumps and leaps about. The mind jumps about from thought to thought. That is why one should try to escape from the unhealthy influence of the effects of unawareness. There's a little comment on distractiveness of the mind, how easy it is to distract. Scatters and jumps. Like a fish out of water, flips around. Jumps from listening to that thing, listening to that thing. We all become aware of this in our meditation. And then we seek peace of not jumping around, of being centered and being calm, and being focused. And the mind is often treacherous, frivolous and changeable. It may be unreliable, often seizing whatever it desires. Good indeed it is to tame such a mind. A tamed mind brings happiness. It is so difficult to detect the true nature of the mind. The mind is extremely subtle and seizes whatever it desires. A guarded mind brings happiness. The mind arises in the depth of the heart. It is without a body and wanders far alone. Those who restrain their mind will be far less affected by temptations. If one's mind is not firm in the Dhamma practice, if they do not know true Dhamma, and if their faith wavers, their wisdom never matures. Because the mind of the sincere meditator is not pulled away by cravings, nor afflicted by hate, and because he has gone beyond both merit and demerit, there is no fear in them at all. Realizing that this body is as fragile as a clay pot, guarding the mind like a well-guarded city. One should skillfully combat the forces of unwholesomeness with the sword of wisdom. Then one should protect what has been won and never again return to this journey of rebirths. This body indeed will not last long. Once the consciousness is released from the body will be left behind and lie on the ground with the nature of a decaying log. Whatever harm an enemy does to an enemy, or a hater to the one hated, a wrongly directed mind does greater harm to oneself. Neither mother nor father, any other relative can help one establish one's mind in the Dhamma. One becomes a great person due to one's own well-directed mind. Next session, we'll continue with the third foundation of mindfulness. There's quite a lot to say about it. So for now, we'll have our meditation. You can pause, and we recommend doing 15 minutes at least for this. So here on the video will be 1 minute. And let's turn that up. And now we're going to be doing our verses for the dedication of merit. It's meritorious to listen to Dhamma, and it's also meritorious to meditate. Let's share. Let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration through the goodness that arises from my practice. May my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun, the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now, time for questions and answers. To help you, I've prepared a couple of sheets that show previous topics. The last talk on the six sense doors featured these kind of subjects. And the next one is of today's, the Cittā topic. If there's any topics that you'd like to pick out from either of those or anything else, you're very welcome to submit questions in, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Good, so let's move on then, and made the acknowledgement at the beginning. Once again, gratitude to the elders and acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land. May many beings be free from avoidable suffering and realize the peace of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sukhi Bhakti.